What do you do when your current body looks different from your thinness or your quote unquote goal body? Let's say you're healing, you're doing the inner work, you're listening to this podcast, you're finally eating without guilt, tracking or obsessing, but then you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror or you put on a old pair of pants and you think, this isn't the body that I used to have. And you might experience some grief, some discomfort, maybe even an identity crisis that comes with body changes, especially when your quote unquote thinnest body still holds power in your mind. So that's what we're talking about today is what do you do? How do you recalibrate? How do you keep moving forward? So let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. Hi, my love. Thank you so much for pressing play and welcome back to the podcast. It is now June, right? It's June. Holy smokes. And I was thinking about any life updates that I wanted to share with you. But honestly, I would say that what I've been up to is spending a lot of time outside, welcoming a lot of new members inside Food Freedom Academy 2.0, which has been just so exciting. And from this point on, I'm just going to call Food Freedom Academy 2.0 Food Freedom Academy because it's the same thing at this point. It's really just an upgrade. I've added just such awesome tools and resources. And I'm currently creating another something new, which is going to help kickstart and jumpstart your relationship with food and get results even faster. So if you're inside the Food Freedom Academy and you feel like I'm rolling out something new every day, it's because I am. And I'm just so excited to make this such a fun and empowering and easy journey and process for you. So that's what I've been working on. I've been working a lot, I'm not going to lie, but making sure that I'm getting to still enjoy this beautiful weather, spend time with my friends. I just had such a fun weekend. We went to this brand new restaurant that opened up in Montreal. That's like this Haitian barbecue fusion restaurant. And if you ever come to Montreal, send me a DM, let me know, and I'm going to give you the name of this restaurant. We went when it was only the third day that it was opened, and it felt very exclusive. And what's really cool is that one of the owners, or I guess chefs, you would say, is like one of the top pit masters in Texas for barbecue. So you bet that it was incredible food. And, it's not salads. It's, more high fat, high sodium foods. We had brisket and ribs and veal and yuca fries and plantain fries. And what's so beautiful about this is that I now go into these social events completely stress-free. I'm just so excited. I'm excited to try the new food. I know that it's going to be such a fun experience because I'm going to be able to enjoy the food. I trust myself to listen to my body. I know I'm not going to overeat. I know I'm going to enjoy. And then once I'm satisfied, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get to taste everything and walk away feeling good. And truly that kind of peace and that kind of freedom and self-trust is something that I never, ever take for granted. And I've told you this before on the podcast that I always just cherish the fact that I've come so far. I just got full body chills. I've come so far. And sometimes you forget it because, yeah, I've been doing this work for a long time. And yes, it's been behind me for a long time. But it used to be such a major, major struggle in my life. And if right now you're feeling like you're in the thick of it, like it's hard or it's challenging or it's painful and you're unlearning a lot and you're challenging a lot, just know that it's a normal part of the process. I went through it. There's this misconception that healing is just rainbows and butterflies and coming into alignment. It always feels good. But the truth is that you're shedding a lot. And if you imagine a caterpillar that turns into a butterfly, the caterpillar is the old version of you, the one that carried all of the food and body image struggles. And then you made the decision to say, I'm going to transform. Or maybe you're still tiptoeing around that decision to say, I'm going to transform. But if you're listening to this podcast, then I'm going to go ahead and assume that you are making that decision to say, I want to become a butterfly. I want to get into alignment. I want to heal this stuff that's been part of my life for so long. And so the caterpillar doesn't just become a butterfly immediately. It goes into a cocoon. And if you've ever seen a video of what a caterpillar looks like as it's metamorphosizing, I don't think that's a word, but I'm not going to cut that out because at least I tried. And so we all make mistakes. But if that is a word, good on me. But as it's transforming in the cocoon, it's chaos. Like, I just look it up on YouTube or go on Google and write like caterpillar in cocoon. It's so chaotic and it probably feels really uncomfortable and confusing. And if we could talk to a caterpillar, they would probably tell us that when they were in the cocoon, they didn't know what was left, what was right, what was back, what was front, and they didn't know what was going to come out of that cocoon. And so if you're in that cocoon right now, and you feel lost and you feel like you're not quite this new version of you, but you're also not quite the old version of you, that's normal. Okay? You're not doing anything wrong. If you're feeling lost or confused, that's okay. I have been in so many cocoons in my life, and I'm spending a lot of time in cocoons feeling like, okay, well, when is this butterfly going to sprout? And it will. Just hold the course. And that's actually what today's episode is about. Wow, what a beautiful transition. I'm going to pat myself on the back. So this episode was actually a question that was asked in the Food Freedom Academy by one of our beautiful members. And it was around, like, do you have any words of wisdom? Do you have any coaching, any advice for just staying the course? So when you're in that messy middle, or maybe you have one foot in and still one foot in the past or in the old version of you. And maybe you have this fear, because if you're anything like me, when I started doing this work on my relationship with food, I had to gain some weight. And I've talked about this before because I was very, very restrictive. So I had different phases of my eating disorders. So for a couple of years, it was binge eating and then restricting. It was periods of eating whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, binging, feeling very inflamed, being over my healthy weight, not feeling good in my body, not feeling in control around food, just overall not feeling good. And this usually happened in the summer. And then the summer would end and it was like back to being on plan. So I would get really strict and I would start over exercising and I would get really restrictive. And then I would typically like binge on the weekends, have these quote unquote cheat meals. And so for years, it was this pattern of gaining the weight and then losing the weight and then gaining the weight and then losing the weight. But then when I got to university and when I got my Fitbit and I started being extremely obsessive about kind of beating my own numbers, which in hindsight was so incredibly unhealthy. But this is what happens when you take someone who grew up with a father who exhibits a lot of control and then who also went into synchronized swimming, which also exhibits a lot of control. And so I was very controlling and I was very perfectionist, and I'm very type A. And if you look at the way that I operate, I have very, very high standards. So when I got to university and I got my Fitbit, I got obsessive about, okay, now I can count every single step that I take. I can track how many calories that I burn. And I was tracking everything into MyFitnessPal, so I can now also track every calorie that I eat. So it was all about, how do I move more? How do I eat less? How do I move more? How do I eat less? And as a result, I lost a lot of weight in an extremely unhealthy way. I was hungry all the time, thinking about food all the time. I was cold constantly. My hair was thinning out. My nails were brittle. I was so tired, brain foggy, anxious. Like, my life back then was miserable. But I had created this idea of success in my mind, which was, when I lose weight, but I don't know that I had like a target weight, because it kept going down, because again, this was like my competitive mindset that was just like more, 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 more. So I don't know that there ever would have been a number that would have been enough. But it became addictive because I was losing weight and people were making comments of how good I looked, not knowing the turmoil that was going on internally. But that external validation, ooh, that was fuel for the disordered eating. And we live in a society where like the gold star is to get compliments about your body. So I was having and under this influence of my definition of success, which was this illusion that when I hit a certain weight or get thin enough, again, I never got clear on what my real definition of success, like there was no marker, then I would feel good about myself. Then people would love me more. Then I would feel more respected or seen or validated. Like these ideas, of course, it was very subconscious. Like I never went down and wrote this on my journal, but it was very subconscious, because or else I wouldn't have kept doing it. And so I had this flawed idea of success. And so I remember nearing my rock bottom, and I started questioning some of these ideas of success, because I woke up to the fact that I thought that everything I was doing, the losing weight, the dieting, the restricting, the overexercising, the control, really, I thought what I was doing was going to make me happier, was going to make me healthier, was just going to make me have a better experience of life. And I started recognizing that the opposite was happening. I wasn't happier. In fact, I was the most depressed and the most anxious than I ever had been. I was definitely not healthier, because I was tired all the time. My whole body ached all the time, also because I was over exercising. My nervous system, I was constantly in fight or flight. So of course, that didn't feel good in my body to live in constant survival mode. I was hungry all the time. So I was thinking about food all the time. And I snapped out of it. And I realized, what am I doing all of this for? I thought that getting to a certain weight or doing all of this would make me feel a certain way, and I'm not feeling that right now. And so the question that I had from our member inside of Food Freedom Academy was around this kind of discomfort that can come when you start healing your relationship with food and you are grasping to that version of you that was in the thinnest body that you've had when you were on one of your diets. And I know that you all have that version of you. That version of you that you are feeling really proud of, probably. Yeah, like, I hit that weight. And you hold on to that version of you to say, it's possible because I did it. And I know that I had that version of me. And it can be hard to grasp that that might not be your body again. And there's a grieving period that can happen when you see that maybe your body looks differently. Maybe your set point weight, the weight at which you feel your best, you feel happy and healthy, it might be higher than what your quote unquote ideal weight is. Maybe you have a little bit more fat on your stomach or on your thighs, and maybe you just don't look the way that you used to. And I was thinking about this yesterday, actually, as I was making my midday snack. And I just started thinking about all of the habits and the lifestyle that I have now. And truthfully, I don't want this to sound like a brag at all, but I have very healthy habits now. And if someone were to look at me from the outside, you might see it as quote unquote discipline, but I don't see it that way at all, because everything that I do, I truly, truly love. So I was looking at all the habits that I do. I walk a lot every day. I walk a lot because I live with chronic back pain. I have scoliosis. I sit at my desk all day. And so if I don't go for walks like every 2 hours, I'm in shambles by the end of the day. So I walk, I have 3 to 4 10 to 15 minute walks per day. And then I'll usually go for a longer walk, either in the morning or at night, or sometimes both when it's nice out in the summer. So I walk a lot. I move my body every day. I lift weights. I go to yoga. I box. I don't really overeat. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I get a lot of sleep. Like, I have a really good sleep pattern. I meditate. I journal. I have lovely friendships and connections. I have great support. And so here's why I'm telling you all of this, because I know right now you might be thinking, okay, Sabrina, that's enough. We get it. You're an all-star. And that is not at all what I'm trying to say. And I also want to caveat that it took me some time to get here. Like, it did not happen overnight. And also, I can recognize that I don't have kids. I don't have people who are dependent on me. I have a very supportive boyfriend. I have a very supportive family. So I have a lot of privilege. And so when I hear these influencers on Instagram who are saying everyone has the same 24 hours in the day, no, they don't. The 24 hours that I have are not the same 24 hours than a mom of 3 who also works a full-time job, who is taking care of her sick mother, for example. So I have a lot of thoughts about that comment, that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. But the reason why I wanted to talk about all of these healthy habits and lifestyle that I have is that as I was thinking about this yesterday, I also was thinking about my body. And in a very neutral way, I was thinking, what's interesting? I have all of these healthy habits and I don't have a six-pack and I don't have a thigh gap. I am not stick thin and I still have curves and fat in areas, and someone might look at me and not think, whoa, she is like the healthiest person in the world. And again, like, there was no negative emotions associated with it. It was really an observation, because I started thinking, even with all of these healthy habits, someone might not have that body that you see advertised on social media. Because oftentimes those bodies that you see advertised on social media of the, chiseled abs and the tiny, tiny legs. Either their full-time job is being a fitness person and they literally live at the gym and maybe they have a private chef, or it's literally their genetics. Like they're in the same way that you'll see Great Danes and Chihuahuas and Bulldogs and Border Collies. There's a bunch of different bodies, and no matter how much a Great Dane was put on a diet or ate less, it would never look like a Greyhound, for example. Body diversity is the same. No matter how much diet culture wants to lie about it or deny that, there's just different bodies. And so no matter how much I would try to starve myself or exercise myself, I would never look like someone who just has like those really lanky limbs and really thin legs. Like I just won't be able to do that. And so that might also be the case. It's just someone's genetic and they're trying to convince you that if you eat the same way and work out in the same way as they do, then they'll look the same way as they do. And that's just not true. Or they have a disordered relationship with food. They're maybe restricting and feeling a lot of fear and guilt and shame and obsession in the same way that I used to have when I did have the six pack and the thigh gap. And when I was first working on my own relationship with food and allowing my body to settle at its healthy weight, I still had a lot of things to untangle when it came to my sense of worth and success and my body image, right? Like I had for so long tied my worth and my success to my body image that I would sometimes look at pictures of me at my thinnest and think that my life was better back then. And you might experience that from time to time. And that was really what the question that our Food Freedom Academy student asked was like, what do you do? How do you kind of refocus and keep going forward when you're feeling some of that grief about your old body? And I'm actually just going to play the clip of that little coaching session that I gave during our Food Freedom Academy live coaching call so that you can see how I answered that question, so that you can start reflecting, changing your perspective on what you can think about and what you can do when you're experiencing some of that grief around the body that you used to have. So let me play that little clip of my Food Freedom Academy coaching session for you. I remember, especially when I first started this work, and I noticed that I would see pictures from back when I had an eating disorder and I was not at my healthy weight, but I was quote unquote thinner. And at the time, I was still working through what that meant about me and about my worth and all of that stuff. And when I would see those old pictures and I would associate certain meanings to the body that I used to have. And what we tend to do is, I talked about that in the podcast that got released yesterday about how to handle summer body anxiety, is that we tend to romanticize the past. And so I would look back on that time when I was in a smaller body and I would make these assumptions and associations that I was happier or that I was healthier or that people liked me more or I was more attractive and all of these things that weren't actually fully true, but I would associate it with it because our mind are so conditioned to think smaller body means X, Y, Z. And so one question that actually really helped guide me and bring me back to the moment was, what would it cost me to go back there? What would it cost me to get back to that body? Because I know what it cost me. It required me to undereat. It required me to be anxious around food. It required me to, when I was going to a restaurant, have to look at the menu beforehand and order the healthiest thing, and then look at other people eating their food, wishing I was eating pasta, and then go home and binge because I didn't get to enjoy my food at the restaurant. It required me to go through the day constantly aware of the way that my body looked. And so you really want to ask yourself, there's a reason why you all invested in yourself to work on this, to heal from this, because it was painful enough for you to say, I want to change. And so when you find yourself romanticizing the past, you also want to question whether the lens through which you are seeing the past is a lens of reality, or if it's through rose-colored glasses. And then asking yourself, well, what would it cost me to go back there? And so that's going to give you the reality of, do you want to go back to restricting food? Do you want to go back to being anxious around food? And also, what are you making your current body mean? Because again, we've been taught that gaining weight or being in a bigger body than before means something. It means you've let yourself go. It means that you can't possibly be happy. You can't possibly be healthy. You can't possibly be confident. And so it's through that experience of bringing yourself back to the present moment and saying, well, here I am in my current body, and I'm more confident than I was before. I'm happier than I was before. I feel more freedom. I feel more space. And so what is really the goal here? The goal at the end of the day is to live a life that feels good. And I was meditating this week, and I kind of like took myself out of my body. So I just would try to look at my body from this like third eye perspective, and realized that at the end of your life, when everything has come and gone, and you are just like a consciousness looking at this physical body that you lived your life in, that will give you so much perspective, because you're going to realize this was just a vehicle for me to experience my life. And I got so obsessed with making this vehicle look a certain way that it interfered with my ability to fully live my life. And so that right there, when your goal is to remind yourself that life is about feeling good physically, feeling good mentally. So if you're taking care of yourself physically, you're nourishing your body, you're moving it in a way that feels good, you're listening to it, you're working with it instead of against it. You're taking care of your emotions, right? You're tending to your nervous system. You're not trying to escape it. You're not eating to numb or to distract. And you're tending to your mind, which is really going to dictate your experience of life. Because your mind, your perspective, your beliefs is going to make you feel good or not feel good. And so when you can tend to the thoughts that you have, that my body is my body, it's here to let me experience life, and you can challenge the assumptions and the thoughts and the beliefs that you are creating around your body, which most of the time are not true, then that can help you recalibrate. That can help you rewire and bring yourself back to the moment. All right. So that is the little clip from the coaching session from our Call Inside Food Freedom Academy with our members. And I hope that it gives you a new perspective, and that guiding question of what would it cost me to go back there? And what am I making that past body mean? That I was healthier, that I was happier, that people loved me more. Like, what was I making it mean? And how can I bring myself back to the present moment? How can I focus on what's going to make me feel good now? On the connections, on living my life, on experiencing joy and freedom and health and peace, because that at the end of the day is really what is going to matter most to you. So Thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. And if this episode resonated with you, then there is definitely a woman in your life who it will resonate for too. So send it over to them, because when we can all work on having a more positive relationship with our bodies, when we can be more present, more bold, more empowered, more mindful, more intentional, and show up fully in our power, there's nothing that we can't do. So I love you so much. Send me a DM or follow me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health. I would love to connect with you there. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you next week. Hey, real quick before you go, if you're loving this podcast and you're thinking, Sabrina, I want more. I want to go deeper. I want a step-by-step process for healing my relationship with food. I've got a free workshop that literally walks you through it. It's a full breakdown of the exact method that I use to help my clients stop binging, heal emotional eating, and finally feel at peace with food and their bodies. It's totally free. So if you're ready to stop feeling obsessed and out of control with food, head to sabrinamagnan.com/training or find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.